For most of human history, birthdays weren't considered fun. They were actually considered dangerous. Ancient civilizations believed evil spirits became especially powerful on the day you were born, which meant your birthday was basically a supernatural ambush waiting to happen. So people developed strange rituals to protect themselves. They gathered crowds, lit fires, made offerings to gods, and eventually baked cakes covered in candles. What started as a survival ritual slowly evolved into the modern birthday party, which means every time you blow out birthday candles, you're participating in a tradition that's thousands of years older and much weirder than most people realize. Today, almost everyone celebrates a birthday. Kids get parties, adults pretend they don't care while secretly checking who remembered. Even pets sometimes get birthday cakes now. But for most of human history, ordinary people didn't celebrate birthdays at all. In many ancient civilizations, birthdays were considered important only for the most powerful people in society. Kings, pharaohs, emperors. The reasoning was surprisingly simple. Many rulers claimed they had a special connection to the gods, so the day they entered the world wasn't viewed as a personal milestone. It was treated as a public event. Ancient Egyptians are often credited with some of the earliest recorded birthday celebrations. Ironically, historians believe these weren't actual birthdays in the modern sense. They were coronation anniversaries, the day a ruler became a living god. Later, the Romans expanded the idea. They held public celebrations for important figures and eventually introduced birthday celebrations for ordinary citizens, at least some of them. Men generally received birthday recognition long before women did, which feels unfair, but unfortunately describes a lot of ancient history. As the idea spread across Europe, birthdays slowly became more common, but there was still one problem. Most people couldn't afford anything that looked remotely like a birthday cake. Sugar was expensive, desserts were luxuries, and for the average family, surviving another year didn't automatically justify a fancy celebration. That wouldn't change until one country accidentally created the blueprint for the modern birthday party. And strangely enough, children were at the center of it all. By the Middle Ages, birthday traditions had spread across parts of Europe, but they still looked nothing like modern birthdays. There were no colorful grocery store cakes, no giant balloons, no parents spending $40 on decorations their kid ignores after 8 minutes. That version came later, and oddly enough, Germany helped create it. During the 1700s, Germans began celebrating something called Kinderfest, which was basically a birthday party designed specifically for children. At the time, that was unusual. For most of history, children weren't exactly treated like the center of the universe. Modern parenting says your child is a magical little genius who deserves a themed dinosaur cake and emotional support blueberries. Back then, children were often viewed more like tiny unpaid interns with survival rates. So dedicating an entire celebration to a child was actually a pretty big cultural shift. During Kinderfest celebrations, German families would bake a cake for the birthday child and place candles on top. One candle represented each year of the child's life, and an extra candle was added for hope, luck, and another full year of life ahead. The candles stayed lit all day long. Then at night, the child would blow them out and make a wish. Sound familiar? That's basically the blueprint for the modern birthday party. And this is where cake became the star of the entire celebration. Not bread, not meat, not pie. Cake. Mainly because cake was expensive. Sugar was once considered a luxury item. Only wealthy families could regularly afford ingredients like refined sugar, butter, and sweet-baked desserts. So serving cake signaled something important. This day mattered enough to justify using expensive ingredients. The cake itself became a status symbol, and over time, as sugar became cheaper and baking spread across Europe and America, birthday cake slowly transformed from a luxury for the wealthy into something almost everyone could have. Well, almost everyone. At first, birthday parties were still mostly for upper-class families. Poorer families often couldn't afford elaborate desserts or celebrations. But by the late 1800s and early 1900s, industrialization changed everything. Sugar prices dropped, home ovens became more common, mass-produced ingredients became widely available, and suddenly, birthday cake exploded in popularity. Companies quickly realized something important. If people associate cake with happiness, childhood, and celebration, they'll keep buying it forever. Which may explain why modern birthday cakes became increasingly ridiculous over time. At some point, society collectively decided, you know what this chocolate dessert needs? Fire. And from there, things only escalated. Now we have cakes shaped like cartoon characters, multi-tiered rainbow explosions, and enough frosting to medically qualify as wall insulation. But underneath all the sprinkles and candles, The core tradition stayed surprisingly ancient. Gather people together, light candles, make wishes, celebrate survival, which is kind of beautiful when you think about it. Historically speaking, making it another year was never guaranteed. At this point, birthday cake had officially become a tradition. But one part of the ritual still makes absolutely no logical sense. The candles. Think about it. Every year, we deliberately place tiny fires on top of dessert, turn the lights off, crowd around someone while singing at them, then demand they extinguish the flames using lung power. And somehow, this became normal human behavior. But the candle tradition survived for one reason. People genuinely believed wishes were real. Ancient cultures thought smoke carried prayers upward towards gods, spirits, or the heavens. So when someone blew out candles, the rising smoke supposedly delivered their wish into the universe, which also explains another strange birthday rule. You're not supposed to tell anyone your wish. The belief was that speaking the wish out loud could ruin it, almost like the universe had privacy settings. And weirdly enough, versions of this superstition still exist today. Even people who don't believe in magic will hesitate before revealing their birthday wish, just in case. That's the power of traditions passed down for centuries. You stop questioning them, you just do them automatically. And birthday cake traditions became even more deeply rooted during the 1900s, thanks to advertising. Once companies realized birthdays could sell products, the entire celebration became commercialized. Bakeries advertised custom cakes, greeting card companies pushed birthday cards, toy companies tied gifts to birthday expectations. Restaurants began offering free desserts to turn birthdays into marketing opportunities. Suddenly, birthdays weren't just personal milestones anymore. They became an industry. And honestly, it worked brilliantly. Today, billions of dollars are spent every year on birthday celebrations, all built around a tradition that originally existed to ward off evil spirits. That's a pretty impressive rebrand. But strangely, the most important part of a birthday cake was never actually the cake itself. It was the gathering. Historically, birthdays reminded people of something simple. You survived another year. That mattered a lot more in earlier centuries, when disease, famine, and war made life unpredictable. Reaching another birthday genuinely felt meaningful. The celebration acknowledged survival, community, and hope for the future. And maybe that's why the tradition lasted so long. Not the frosting, not the candles, not even the presents. It survived because humans liked marking time together. We like rituals, tiny repeated moments that make life feel meaningful, even if they're weird, even if they involve setting pastry on fire. And honestly, birthdays are far from the strangest food tradition humans ever invented. The strange thing about birthday cake is that humans do this kind of thing constantly. We turn food into rituals, not just for survival, not just for taste, for meaning. Think about it. Wedding cakes, Thanksgiving turkey, champagne on New Year's Eve, fortune cookies, hot dogs on the 4th of July. Human beings love attaching symbolism to food, and birthday cake may be one of the oldest examples still surviving, almost unchanged. Even the act of sharing cake matters psychologically. Studies have shown that communal eating strengthens social bonds and creates stronger feelings of trust and belonging, which makes sense. For thousands of years, sharing food meant safety. If people ate with you, they probably weren't trying to kill you, usually. So birthday cake became more than dessert. It became proof that people showed up for you, that you mattered enough for others to gather around and celebrate your existence for a few hours. And honestly, that's probably why birthdays still feel emotional, even as adults. Not necessarily the aging part. Nobody wakes up excited that their knees now sound like microwave popcorn, but the ritual itself matters. For one day, people pause their normal lives to acknowledge you. That's powerful. And maybe that's why even people who claim they don't care about birthdays still feel disappointed when nobody remembers them. Humans are social creatures. We want recognition. We want milestones. We want proof that our existence mattered to somebody else. Birthday traditions give us that, even if the traditions themselves are objectively bizarre. And somehow, after thousands of years of evolving civilizations, we still ended up keeping the candles. The same symbolic fire, the same wishes, the same gathering around food, just with better frosting. But there's one final reason birthday cake survived, while thousands of other ancient traditions disappeared completely. And honestly, it might be the simplest explanation of all. Empires collapsed, religions changed, entire civilizations vanished, and somehow, birthday cake survived all of it. Not every ancient tradition managed to make that jump. People used to celebrate hundreds of strange rituals tied to harvests, weather, gods, and superstition. Most disappeared over time, but birthday cake adapted. The religious parts faded, the fear of evil spirits vanished, the ancient symbolism became less important, but the emotional core stayed exactly the same. People still wanted to feel celebrated. That never changed, and cake turned out to be the perfect symbol for that feeling. It's temporary, shared, a little excessive, and usually reserved for moments that matter. The idea became so deeply embedded into human culture that birthdays without cake almost feel incomplete now. Even people who don't like sweets still usually replace it with something symbolic. Cupcakes, cookies, ice cream. The ritual survives even when the dessert changes. And maybe that's the strangest part of all. Most people celebrating birthdays today have absolutely no idea they're participating in traditions that stretch back thousands of years. Ancient Greeks honoring moon goddesses, German families lighting symbolic candles, old superstitions about spirits and protection. All of it slowly evolved into modern birthday parties, which means every time someone awkwardly sings happy birthday in a crowded restaurant, they're unknowingly continuing one of humanity's oldest surviving rituals. That's kind of incredible, and honestly, a little weird. But maybe that's what makes human traditions so interesting. Even after centuries of technological progress, scientific discovery, and cultural change, we still gather around glowing candles and make silent wishes to the universe, just in case. And somewhere along the way, humanity collectively agreed on one final truth. No matter how old you get, life is slightly better with cake. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Eat This Story for more bizarre food histories, strange traditions, and the weird stories hiding behind everyday things. Thanks for watching.